What's up, everybody? My name's Marina. Welcome back to my channel. I make videos about fat loss, strength training, body image. If any of that sounds interesting to you, stick around till the end of this video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below so that I know that you want to see more of me and that my content is helpful to you. So if you're anything like me, when you got into strength training, you immediately dove into the science-based side. And I remember there was a period of time where I was just consuming this information. Like if you asked me a question, I could regurgitate to you what I had heard from a Jeff Nippard video because I was just so obsessed with consuming this type of content. I needed my form to be optimal. I needed my nutrition to be optimal. I needed my split to be optimal. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time always trying to change my split, change my fat loss protocol, change my nutrition because I was obsessed with like the next best way to optimize. And what inspired this video today was a client of mine who I just brought on, and she's interested in fat loss. And based on hearing about her history and stuff, I was telling her how for most of my clients, I recommend they do some type of like maintenance reverse counting period so I can get to know their body and I can inflate their calories at least a little bit. If you're familiar with this stuff, the higher your calories are, the higher calories you have to pull from. So in theory, starting a fat loss phase from a higher calorie place saves you a lot of hunger and feeling restricted and can often make fat loss phases easier. So I was just kind of explaining this to her and she was telling me like, no, I think I feel ready. Like, I don't want to wait anymore. Let's do this fat loss phase. Let's just jump right into it. And I was like, bet, as long as I was able to communicate the pros and the cons of jumping right in versus taking a minute to reverse your calories up, I'm fine with it. Let's see. Let's rock and let's roll. And then after like a day, she like weighed herself on the scale and she saw that her weight had come up a pound and she was like freaking out. Keep in mind that she has a base. She's a lot like me, this client. She has a background in fitness. She knows this information. She's heard it all before. So she knows that freaking out about one weigh-in is counterproductive. She knows that it's simply a data point, that daily weight fluctuations are normal and should be expected. And the more you can kind of just let your weight do what it's doing and you can stick to the plan, the smoother it's going to go for you because you're not going to be fucking being stressed out every second, you know what I mean? And wanting to like abandon ship. So she saw her weight come up and immediately she was like, I don't know, like I'm rethinking this. Maybe I shouldn't go straight into a fat loss phase. Should I do the reverse? Or should I do a more aggressive fat loss phase versus a slower fat loss phase? And I kind of had to like slow her down and be like, whoa. It's only been 2 days, girl. We haven't even stuck with anything long enough to have any type of idea what's actually happening in your body, to have any type of actual trend. This tells us nothing. The same way that your doctor wouldn't immediately diagnose you with like terminal cancer from you having a headache from one symptom. You know what I mean? Any group of people or persons doing really cool, important things, they don't jump ship because of one event. They wait. They look at it over time. I kind of talked her through it. I was like, hey, the thing is, all of these avenues are viable. Never let anyone tell you that there isn't 1,000,001 ways to get to where you're trying to go. Because when it comes to fitness, the science is really dope. It gives us a general idea of what is working for most, but it doesn't tell us what works for us. Maybe we can take stuff from the science and apply it on ourselves and then see if it works. Yeah, you totally could reverse first and then do the fat loss phase. You totally could do an aggressive fat loss phase, and you totally could do a slow and steady fat loss phase. All of them are viable options and all of them have worked for many people in the past. The real question is, what's gonna work for you? And here's the thing, you're not gonna know until you try. So I've had a lot of clients who I tell them, hey, it's looking like it's going to be a really good idea for you to do the reverse, but they choose to do a fat loss phase instead. And it's a learning journey for them. Some people, they do the fat loss phase without the reverse and they end up doing fine. 9 times out of 10 though, people who don't do the reverse, do end up gaining a lot of the weight back or some of the weight back. So it's not that you failed, right? It's just that you got more data points about what works or what doesn't work for you. I've been doing this for long enough, actually doing it, right, without sabotaging myself or changing my course or changing what I'm doing every few seconds, that I know that, for example, after I'm done with the 12-week fat loss phase, if I try to maintain my weight for only 12 weeks, I find that I'm still very food focused when I try to go back into a fat loss phase. I've had much more success taking a very long and drawn out maintenance period before my next fat loss phase. That's just what works for me, okay? But there are several bodybuilders out there that take very short periods of maintenance before they jump into another fat loss phase. And because their why is so powerful and they're so locked in, that works for them. But I'm talking about general population here, right? Most of us aren't that locked in, and that's absolutely okay. So we just have to be realistic with ourselves about what's gonna work for us. My legs are tired. Oh, I should not sit like that for an extended period of time. Okay, now we're down here. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but to bring it all together, there's no way to actually know what optimal is. There is only plugging and chugging. So don't let this pursuit of optimal kind of like be your crutch for not actually sticking with anything for long enough to reap the fruits of your labor, to actually know what works or doesn't work for you. So I was telling her, why don't we just stick with something for at least 2 weeks, and then we can, if it's not working, we can go back to the drawing board, right? You can start a fat loss phase, and if 4 weeks in, you're like, damn, I'm actually already starting to feel really sharp hunger pangs. Like, I don't know if it's time for me to be in a fat loss phase. And then you come out of it, you know what I mean? But at least stick to stuff for a decent amount of time before you decide what to do next. Like, you actually have to apply it to yourself and try it. So yeah, I feel like I had a fear of committing to any one intervention for too long. And I just kept jumping from intervention to intervention, or like from program to program. And I didn't give myself the gift of simply sticking with something for long enough to actually be able to observe long-term trends. Because even if your weight is up this week, it might not be up next week, but you won't know unless you stick with it for another day to find out. You know what I mean? I feel like this pursuit of optimal and this constant consumption of new ideas that we have because of the day and age that we're living in, right, with social media, it's both super helpful, and then it also just kind of like paralyzes a lot of us, like myself included, because everyone is saying something different that I don't, like I said, I don't give myself the gift of simply seeing what works for me by actually like experimenting, choosing an intervention, sticking to it for 6 weeks or however long, and then seeing if that works for me. I was so worried about what this one professional said was the most optimal way of doing something that I like stopped listening to what felt right in my body, what was giving me the best pump, what nutrition interventions were helping me stick to my diet long term. There is no such thing as optimal. And I think the people who get the closest to optimal are the ones who aren't afraid to listen to themselves. I'm thinking about C-Bum and how he's the greatest of all time because he's been doing it for long enough and he's been willing to trust himself for long enough that he doesn't waste time jumping from one intervention to the next. He picks something, he tests it. Does it work? Great, I'm gonna keep doing it. It doesn't work? Oh man, I'm gonna change it. Because there's always gonna be a more optimal way to do everything, right? So yeah, I feel like I got caught up for a really long time in wanting to be optimal, wanting to be perfect, and it fucking paralyzed me. And I feel like I wasted a lot of fucking time just being a little anxious ball of anxiety, so worried about being perfect that I wasn't doing anything at all. Like, I was like using it as a crutch to not have to train hard, to not actually have to push myself hard in the gym, to not have to do the stuff that actually matters. I was like looking for hacks in the secret optimal. But like, we'll never actually know what optimal is. There's no way to know. So just do something, anything, and do it for a long time, and make sure you're tracking stuff so you can see progress over time. Don't waste your time being like neurotic about optimal when there's no way to find out what optimal actually is. Just do your best. That's all that matters. That's what I would tell myself from back in the day. Don't overthink it, especially if you have a coach. It's your coach's job to overthink. All you have to do is execute. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.